You know how tough it is to be partners with a celebrity? You can see my picture's not up there, but his Apollo's always up there. Always. So we saved the best for last, because I hope you guys had an amazing weekend. I hope a lot of you have learned a lot. I hope a lot of you have shared and certainly connected with relevant people in the space to help further your cause. But I just want to say, first of all, we want to thank you for being a part of HybridSummit and supporting. We had an outset and goal in mind to bring the best minds in the space to all of you this weekend in Thailand. We want to thank the city, the hospitality, the staff. If you guys could give us a hand in giving a round of applause to the staff that have worked so hard to produce this event. Thank you, all of you. The translations booth, the production team. Sometimes we take it for granted when we attend these conferences, we just show up. But what we don't realize is how much planning and hard work and dedication it takes. So moving on, guys, this is, again, we saved the best for last. This is a panel of 3 incredibly young, good-looking people. And beyond all the looks, and if you peel the onion back, there's a lot of intelligence in this room. And one of the things that we always ask ourselves, and I'm sure that all of you have asked of other people, is where will the price of Bitcoin be? and Jeremy has got a lot of comments on this, but based on his last panel. But Apolo, maybe you can take it from here, just to give us some color.
Well, I think all of us in the cryptocurrency sphere, we've seen many different critics and individuals predict the price ranging from 0 to 50,000 to $1 million, all wildly different with their different views and where their insights are coming from. But I think all of us in this room, I think most of us are all pretty bullish in general on crypto, but Bitcoin specifically, because of all of the newer technologies that are being invented, because of this rise of interest in crypto, where is Bitcoin and does it have a future, maybe not the end of this year, but in 5 years? And what relevancy is it going to have in our society? Tom, you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I'd be glad to start. In my presentation, I did skip a slide. The last slide I had was I had posted some public predictions. And I think the most interesting one to me is John McAfee's prediction, because he's...
And promise.
Huh?
And promise.
Promise, that's right, because he's stake. This is like proof of stake in a way, because actually he's going to be eating steak. Because if Bitcoin doesn't reach $1 million by 2020, he's going to eat a body part on live television. So to me, I think it's interesting, but the reason I think that's interesting is I don't think it's necessarily a crazy prediction, because at that valuation, it's not like you're saying Bitcoin has to be larger than the galactic wealth of the universe. It's really just a meaningful percentage of all liquid assets. We have to remember there's $280 trillion today that individuals have used as stores of value. So I know people like to put up gold at $7 trillion, but that's just a fraction. There's more money invested in art as a store of value, actually almost double than in gold. Again, that's one of the slides I did. And then, of course, there's a lot more store value in real estate. So again, I think it's possible.
Great. Justin, being the head of Asia for Cumberland, you see a tremendous amount of deal flow. I know you had that fireside chat with Dan yesterday. If you had to predict the price of Bitcoin by December 31st, 2018, what would that price be within a $10 range?
$10 is it's real precision, I have to say. Look, it's difficult for me to comment on exactly where the price will be. Certainly within the institution, Cumberland, we are very positive on the industry. For those who are not familiar, a large OTC desk gets to see a lot of flows. We are an institutional player with our parent company having 900 employees. So I think where we see this industry going is always going to be a function of the outlook as well as the type of institutional investors that come in to onboard with us to buy and sell and trade cryptocurrencies. And so last year, certainly in the last sort of quarter of the year, we often refer to it internally as the year of the family office. And that's where we had, especially in the United States, a lot of wealthy family offices come to onboard and start buying cryptocurrencies and assets from us. And that's really a phenomenon because traditional investors that run regulated entities were not able to be as flexible. However, family offices, they can do whatever they want. This year so far, again, that trend has slowed, but we see a similar sort of uptick in the interest from the institutional space in the crypto world. And so while it's difficult for me to put an exact price on something, I would say, similar to the data that Tom showed, we certainly see, information that makes us, that supports exactly what Tom showed as well, that, there is inflows coming in and more institutional players are entering this ecosystem.
So your answer was so long, I forgot what I asked you. What do you say the price of Bitcoin will be by December 31st? Sorry, I got confused.
Yeah.
I don't know how your girlfriend feels when you...
So for the record,
she asked you a question.
Yesterday, Rod and I had a chat, and I said, Rod, you put me on this panel, and I'm not allowed to comment and speculate on the price in public.
$10 to moon.
Yeah. Up, I think it might be going up.
It might go down.
Okay. Well, Jeremy's been dying because basically he wasn't on the panel at the beginning because we had this expert panel, obviously Tom Lee, expert panelist, Justin Chow, and then Jeremy slipped Apolo a $20 bill, and it was bought, by the way, and said, can I be on this panel because I love predicting the price of Bitcoin. So, Jeremy, this is finally your stage, and I see you show favoritism because the three of us didn't get a flower, and you and Apolo have a flower. I'm not sure if it's some symbolic tie thing.
He told me I wasn't allowed to put one in Justin's jacket. I was going to. And then
but you guys look really cute together.
There were more women on stage, and I ran out of flowers. It was prepared poorly.
Oh, okay.
Oh no! Now I'm going to do it.
No, this is the crypto version of Bachelor, gentlemen. It's crypto
Everyone
version
wins.
of Bachelor. So he's giving away 2 roses. Tom, I think you and I got excluded.
We're leaving the island.
We're leaving the island. We're not going to be in the next episode. But back to business, Jeremy. Talk to me.
All right.
Come on.
So
I got my mom to buy this thing.
So there's this crazy idea that Bitcoin is this peer-to-peer electronic cash system. I mean, I guess this guy Satoshi suggested that's what it was going to be, but that's not what Bitcoin is, and it's not what Bitcoin has to be. Bitcoin has proven itself as a digital store of value, something that's totally separated from pretty much every other investment class. Crypto assets are kind of this new paradigm for investing, and what Bitcoin represents is effectively digital gold. If you think about gold, it's about worth $7.8 trillion in total market cap. And Bitcoin has all the same features of gold, except 10x better. It's more portable, it's more divisible, it's more exchangeable, it's more secure. It's just this fabulous place to put your money that's entirely yours and cannot be accessed by anybody else. And that makes it worth a multiple. There we go. Worth the multiple of what gold is. I think the total market cap for Bitcoin, if you didn't change its code today, it did nothing more than serve as an investment vehicle for people to put away that was a kind of an alternative asset class. I think it's worth $15-20 trillion.
I think that's interesting, and I think also you said that the year of the family office, Justin. I know you can't comment officially on what you believe as a firm, or you even individually can say what you think Bitcoin is going to be at the end of the year. But I think everyone is under the understanding, because you see so much institutional flow and you're having so many conversations at a different level than even most crypto conferences, a lot of these family offices, and I'm not sure how familiar many people in this room are with family offices, but typically family offices, they have an investment strategy that really revolves around preservation of capital. They've made insurmountable amounts of money, and their number one goal is to maintain that legacy wealth so they can pass it on from generation to generation. So for them to gain exposure to this new digital asset class, which is Bitcoin, to me, sparks my interest to say that, hey, maybe they don't fully are all in and they're exposing 25% of their entire portfolio to this asset class, but if they're willing to hedge or at least expose a fraction of a percent, those added up across many different regions, and you even know this because you've dealt with family offices who've invested into your firm, right? And individuals of very, very influential people all over the planet who truly believe that this is the next wave of investing and opportunities. So while we maybe, if someone was going to ask me, Apolo, what do you think the price of Bitcoin is going to be? I don't have a clue. I
You
would
tell me all
never,
the time.
never claim
You
to
send
be.
me texts. I got proof. You tell me all the time what Bitcoin's going to be.
But I'm very bullish overall on the entire industry as a whole, and I do believe that once some of these critical issues that need to be solved, I think such as custody, which is a major component, we all saw that the most recent ETF was declined, and some maybe even pushed back in the coming months. I think all of that is just a process, and I think as we go throughout this process and more regulators and governments around the world start to truly understand what this can do as an asset class and where does it lie and how family offices and high net worth individuals can place their funds into these pools, I think that's when we'll see, I hope, an incredible rapid rise in valuation.
So Tom, originally I think Bitcoin could have been classified as a currency, a digital currency. It's obviously not for many, many reasons from a technical perspective. It's evolving into more of a store of value. Do you see any coin out there that will challenge the price of Bitcoin market cap?
Yes and no. By the way, Jeremy's answer of 15 to 20 trillion is about $1 million for Bitcoin as well.
And I didn't have the calculation, but I always say Bitcoin should be $1 million one day. So it's amazing that my math just lines up. This really is magical internet money.
When Bitcoin, if Bitcoin ever hits $1 million, I think everyone on the planet will know Jeremy Gardner's name because of the sheer outrageousness of what's going to happen for the years to come. And you're going to display that in full force for us.
There will be water balloon fights everywhere, every day, except when it's cold or raining.
The way I want to answer your question, Rod, is I think when I talk to institutional investors, especially those who've been through the internet, one of the first questions they'll ask is, look, Tom, the reason I don't want to buy Bitcoin is I don't want to buy Napster or Yahoo, okay, or Pets.com. So what they're referring to are these internet companies that didn't survive, whereas FANG, which is Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, survived. Now, going back to 1994 and through 1997, okay, so in that 3-year period, Netscape, Yahoo, Amazon, Google were all founded. So there was no Internet 1.0 and Internet 2.0. They were all founded within 36 months of each other. But from Yahoo's inception until 7 years later, okay, Google surpassed Netscape, Yahoo's Google search share. And within 8 years, Amazon surpassed Yahoo's market cap. So in the internet world, it took less than a decade to figure out that Amazon and Google were the winners. And by the way, from that point on, from 2004, if you just owned FANG for 14 years, you would have more than tripled the return on the S&P. But here's what I think is really interesting. I think Bitcoin has proven it's already the Amazon of crypto, because it's operating for 9 years and there hasn't been anything to really challenge Bitcoin's store value status. But it doesn't mean there aren't going to be a lot of other winning protocols. Just keep in mind, though, Bitcoin being dominant doesn't mean it's boring. In 2004, Amazon was $38 per share. It's $1,800 right now. So even after 8 years of operation, Amazon was at $38. You still made staggering amounts of money holding it for another 15 years.
I can jump in here a little quick. I think also in line with what Tom said, if you just take a look as well, with the fact that in the crypto world now, people and companies have raised tremendous amount of capital, and like conferences like this, you have immense amount of brain power entering this space, from the technology side, from the vendor side, from the capital market side. And so what has happened now is this whole industry has created a magnet that it's just taking in a lot of talent, and it's very well funded. and naturally, that gives the probability of this industry and crypto assets, et cetera, succeeding at higher probability. And so, it can be very difficult, I think, for the industry to not continually progress in a positive way given these things. And on the institutional capital side, again, Paula, you mentioned very well that the custody solution is a big thing. But even, there are cryptocurrency-related businesses and startups looking at solving custody, and we've met a lot of them. Now you also have traditional vendors and financial institutions looking at it, people with the expertise, the reputation, and the technology to be able to move into this space and effectively apply the same framework to this asset class as a capital market instrument as they have in other spaces.
Speaking of custody, how long do you think we are away from custody actually having a viable solution?
6 months. I think there's so many startups that are working at this. Coinbase has released its first product. We see BitGo is working at this intently. They bought Kingdom Trust, and then there are a bunch of stealth startups doing custody. All that have working solutions, but it's now about getting, kind of fiduciary, like licensing, regulatory clearance, all the stuff you need to start bringing in the real institutional capital. But I think it's coming very soon. Year's end would be my estimate.
And just to rewind a second further for people who perhaps aren't familiar with what custody means on the institutional level, why is that so important before any large-scale institution can participate in this space?
Because large banks, large financial institutions are legally required to have a licensed fiduciary for any investment that they make, and there are none in the crypto space today.
And that's why a lot of these institutions are still staying back. And so we've taken only a small percentage of that money that's still coming into the space. Justin, a question for you, because you see a lot of deal flow, you see a lot of market movement. Do you feel that with more and more retail coming into the space, how does that affect the price, or does it, when you're seeing these big block trades from institutions?
Well, I think in general, additional capital coming in on the demand side of supply and demand will cause the market to naturally rise. In the retail aspect of it, it really depends on whether the concentration of holdings in the crypto world now start to diversify. And I think that's a bit of a risk in the system as well, that a lot of these tokens and coins, even with Bitcoin, which has been around for almost 10 years now, the holdings are still quite concentrated. And so in a developing market, this is very common. In emerging market equities, for example. And I think naturally, as that starts to disseminate and the holdings sort of spread out, it lowers the probability for sort of random, sharp moves in either direction. And it smooths out volatility, and it allows the market to behave more like a developed market, which is sort of the natural progression of how almost all asset classes evolve over time. And that's why in this crypto world right now, and we spoke about it with Dan yesterday, when people say, oh, crypto's so volatile, it's dangerous, it's bad. Yes, by all means, it's certainly volatile, but volatility has been consistently dropping over the years. And that, again, is just a sign of a healthy development in any capital market instrument.
Tom, do you see a shift in investment focus from this being a speculative market to more of a long-term asset class hold?
Yes, I think we are still really early in sort of the market's appreciation and sort of tools around valuing cryptocurrencies. I think it is, still a book that needs to be written. But I think custody, as Apolo mentioned, it's a big deal, because I think it's not that institutions aren't interested. I think they have sincere interest. It's just that they're going to be dealing with a catastrophic risk, personal liability or firm liability if something happens to those coins. And so I think the more obvious thing to me is that the day the Bitcoin ETF is approved, it may be the primary way institutions get exposure for their clients. And that means that the ETF's actually a way bigger deal than we realize, because today in traditional markets, ETFs are maybe 20% of any asset. In fact, it's only 2% of the gold market is gold ETFs. But I think in crypto, it may become 50% of the market. But imagine if 50% of Bitcoin's coins are now tied up in a cold wallet managed by a custodian, I think that it would cause a parabolic rise in the price because you would take so much Bitcoin out of supply.
So when that happens, Justin can finally give us the prediction price of Bitcoin.
Yeah, but hopefully by then you won't see me on panels anymore. I think on Tom's note, keep in mind for the audience that when, especially in the United States, for example, when there's a retirement fund or a pension, there's consistent allocation on a monthly basis out of your paycheck into the financial market. In most cases, it goes into equities, as you can pick which fund that your RSP, et cetera, invest into. In the situation where crypto becomes a mainstream investable asset, and long-term or investment managers start allocating to that, in the same way the equity markets consistently have inflows throughout the month, you would get the same sort of effect in the crypto world, and that's another thing. One thing I will say, though, and again, this is all very positive, when an asset class becomes institutional and you have a custody solution, you have a prime broker, you also have two-way markets. And so while there will be new capital coming in, there will also be healthy borrow markets, and borrowing rates will come down, and for those who want to short or potentially even hedge, that would be left-hand side or self-flow or supply that will come into the market. And so it's not all like, oh, there's only 16 million Bitcoins right now and that, we got to rush to buy them all. There will be some two-way markets and cross-asset hedging, et cetera. And that might sort of slow down the appreciation of the asset class, but what it does is, again, it just creates a healthy two-way capital market instrument, especially when derivative assets come in like options, et cetera.
Apolo?
I think one question that I have is when you talk about these ETFs and you talk about pension funds, you talk about these large-scale family offices, for some people who don't understand how big that is and why the eyes are opening to this new asset class, just talk about pension funds, for example. And Tom, I know you know some data behind pension funds just for the United States, let alone globally, and why just a fraction of that, which is usually so conservative, can be allocated towards specific digital assets like these. What happens and what needs to happen?
Yeah. The day that institutions really start buying it in a deliberate way, crypto is going to become a one-way trade. And I know that there's some thoughts that maybe it's easier short. It's simple. I think it's going to be very difficult to see this happen. In fact, ETFs are already transforming the small cap market for equities because, look, if you look at the best performing small cap stocks, they're just held in ETFs because once they're part of an ETF, that's locked up stock supply. So if we're talking about pension assets, it's going to be staggering. In fact, markets that have been really changed by pension funds are things like private equity and venture capital. It used to be that venture capital and private equity were retail family office businesses, and then the day, so that way private equity was small. In fact, when I started in finance, I graduated from Wharton in '91. Private equity was less than 30% of the total of all equity securities, but because pensions are allocating to private equity now, there are more companies held over $100 million in private equity portfolios than publicly traded stocks today. The private market portfolio of private equity companies is larger than the stock market. And that's because of pensions are making massive allocations. And by the way, you wonder who the richest people are. It's the private equity guys because, they got all this money.
Apolo spent all night thinking of a smart question for Tom. Thank you for that contribution, Apolo. So we don't have much time, but I got to tell you something. Last night we had an amazing meal. We were trying to absorb the local culture, and we went to Foodland. And those of you who've been to Foodland before know exactly what I'm talking about. And it was just great, because to be able to pick the brains of these brilliant minds on a setting that's not so formal, I will tell you that it's very rare. So I just would encourage you, as we have the last few minutes, I want to open up to a few questions by the audience. But in my opinion, there's so much that's not said. And in this space, there are a few people, I believe, that really have a pulse for the market, understand it, live it, and walk the walk. These gentlemen on the stage share that, and we're very honored, and we sincerely thank you on behalf of Apolo and I for being here and being part of Hybrid Summit. We have the highest level of respect for all three of you. And yeah, thank you again. It wouldn't be the same without you guys, and it means a lot to us as friends and business
You're taking
associates.
up time.
I'm saying that I still didn't get it a rose.
I love it. Actually, can everyone give these two guys a round of applause for organizing? And like some enthusiasm. Don't need to be zombies. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely give me a seizure. Thank you.
So, in an informal basis, and I want to stop the formal stuff because now we can have a little fun. We have a few minutes left because I know we're recording this for a future publication because my mom couldn't be here to watch this. Let's open up a few announcements. Number one, Sing Sing tonight, after party, the real after party, because everyone's been kind of just ready for this weekend, so we haven't been able to let loose. If you want to see Jeremy do the Michael Jackson dance, tonight is your ability to do that.
I want to see Tom do the Michael Jackson dance.
No, he's actually pretty good at Michael Jackson.
Martinis.
When
Yeah.
Bitcoin hits $1 million, everyone will be doing the Michael Jackson dance.
I mean, he was the one on Dancing with the Stars.
And let me tell you about Apollo and
I think
dancing.
we're out of time.
Apollo's dancing tonight, guys. You better watch. Give him shots.
I think we're out of time.
Oh, we got 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, we have 3.5 minutes. And by the way, the most shocking comment of this entire panel was when Apollo was talking about custody, because every time I hear that word, custody and Apollo and all the, you guys know.
Talk about kids.
You want to talk about that right now?
Kids.
You want to talk about how many speed skaters are in Thailand right now? Really? 3 years old, running around at 100 miles an hour? So on the Sing Sing side, we want to see you. Second comment I want to make. Guys, I just want to look around you. This is the best dressed crypto conference I've ever seen in the history of crypto conference. Give everyone a big hand because
He's been to two
guys
other
look
crypto conferences.
super sharp. I've been to 5 of them. Thank you. 3 of them online I've watched, but the 2 that I did attend, we are the best dressed by far, by far. So I know there's a bunch of questions.
There's no. Raise your hand if you have a question.
Yeah,
Oh,
raise your
a
hands if you have a question.
Shout.
Shout. Okay.
By the
We
way,
got a runner with a mic?
You need to do a dance
Coming.
while you wait for the microphone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
buddy.
It's the
Jeremy,
hybrid summit
you
dance.
should
I like it.
put on Augur institutional custody by year end.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right?
I mean, defining that may be difficult. You'd have to have I would need more information, but you could definitely put that on Augur. That may incentivize some people to come out faster. Great incentive mechanism. Please.
Hi, yes. So sorry I can't stay tonight. I would love to just dance with you guys and all of you. But anyway, my question is for all of you, the 3 of you or the 5 of you, okay, what would be the most 3 important functions or use case in the blockchain or the cryptocurrency in the next 20 years? The most important 3 functions, like what would they be used for? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll start. For me, it's transparency. To me, that's the number one thing, is having that complete de-risking of whatever it is you're trying to be transparent about and making sure that it's spread out across multiple nodes.
Okay.
Asset creation. The ability to dynamically tokenize an asset is the number one use case for blockchain technology. Whether it's like a non-fungible token, like a crypto kitty, or like a trading card, or it's something like real estate, which is one of the largest asset classes in the world, or the ability to create entirely new decentralized applications with their own built-in economies via a token economics. The ability to create new assets via blockchain technology is going to be revolutionary. It already has been.
So to create assets, right? Is that what you're saying?
The ability to dynamically create assets without permissionless asset creation.
Okay, thanks.
I think number one for me is being able to take existing assets actually and be able to put them on the blockchain, i.e. securities, and give the general public access to that. In today's world, a lot of people have been inflated away, trying to buy a property, working hard, and property prices in certain cities in the world continue to rise. And there's frustration there. They're not able to save enough capital to purchase an asset. And so being able to buy fractional assets, I think, is really exciting.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat what those guys said because I 100% agree. But I think something else that we all value, like that is as valuable as money to us, is reputation. So I think a way of storing our reputation or a undeniable proper record of things that we want recorded is going to be worth a lot of money to us in the future.
I'll add one last thing. Going back to Satoshi and the Bitcoin white paper, Bitcoin and crypto assets are garbage for currency today. But in a world that's growing more and more Orwellian over time, especially with the increase of big data, big surveillance from large governments, authoritarianism is going to drive the adoption of a cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin or something else. As societies go cashless, we'll first see this in places like China and Russia, but it will move to the West as well. With cashless societies where governments can track every single transaction that you're making, every financial interaction that you have with another individual, people are going to adopt cryptocurrencies because they have to. When cash is no longer used, cryptocurrency actually becomes logical. But as long as cash is king, I don't think Bitcoin or anything else will usurp it. But that time will come, and that will be a massive catalyst. And I think we'll start seeing that in 10, 20 years.
Thank you.
Jeremy. Anybody else from the audience that will have a question? We have time for one more question.
There we go. You have to dance.
ข้างหลังเลยค่ะเชิญค่ะ All right, you get the right to ask one question.
Do you really want him to dance?
He did dance.
Oh, he did dance.
He did a
Hi guys, nice to meet you. Really enjoyed the panel, it was fantastic. I have a pretty simple question. So you've been talking about the ETF the whole time, and then we know, okay, so the latest one was cancelled. In August, we're going to take a look at another one. So what do you think the chances are that one will just never get approved? So we'll never see ETF approval. Is that an option? Or is it always in the cards?
Is he asking
an ETF
what are the
is gonna
chances
come?
we'll never see an ETF?
Yeah, he said because of the most recent decline for the one that was applied, but there's like 12 plus that are in line. I personally think eventually there's going to be one. Is there a risk to have zero?
I mean, if Bitcoin were to shrink in market cap or all crypto assets were to go down in market cap, yeah, it's possible. But assuming they continue to go up on this generally upward trend, there's a point at which, any minor market manipulation really can't affect the overall price. Right now, it's a fairly illiquid asset class, and so it is susceptible to a price manipulation, which is SEC's concern, which is fairly valid. But as the market really grows, it becomes more global, becomes more accessible, institutions come in, we get custody, the market cap of Bitcoin, it won't be able to be affected by any single event. And thus, I think eventually at some point, yes, the SEC is going to approve something, I imagine, in the next couple of years, but it may take a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you're right, they cite the price manipulation. In Europe, you don't need, an ETF product already exists. I think the US is really looking like a holdout because you can go to CoinShares today, which is run by XBT provider, and you can buy Bitcoin on the NASDAQ Stockholm or Ethereum at NAV, and every day CoinShares in turn buys the Bitcoin or Ethereum. So a functioning ETF product actually exists outside the US. So I think that the US is just falling behind.
Brilliant news, thank you.
Great. So, gentlemen, again, want to thank you sincerely for being here, sharing your ideas, giving us the inside scoop, the complete uncensored backdoor look in the minds of these great predictors. And for all of you here, on behalf of Apolo and HybridBlock and HybridSummit, we want to thank you for being a part of this monumental weekend. We want to thank Thailand, Bangkok, the hospitality that we've all enjoyed in this amazing country and city. Paul, do you have any final words?
No, just thank you guys so much. We believe in the community. That's why these conferences are being held. All of you who are producing and creating new projects, we applaud you for taking the leap of faith and trying to get into this sphere. At the end of the day, a lot of us still feel either that we're too far behind, but make no mistake, we are still so incredibly early. So thank you to everyone, and thank you to Jeremy for always making me laugh. This is going to be a great next couple of months. We're actually having another conference at the end of the year in the UAE, and this will be a very unique conference because it's going to be in partnership with some very interesting individuals who are based in Abu Dhabi. So we hopefully can see all of you there.
Yeah, great. Have a great weekend. Travel safe. We'll miss you, and hopefully see you all tonight.